Hello everyone, my name is Ebony Omolara and this is live bead making with me. I'm the founder of Cultured Waste, which is a waste bead company, which I started to help women to feel more confident in themselves. And so what I'm going to be doing today is beading, telling you a little bit about waste beads, why I wear them, why I make them, why I think that people should make them. And yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So I'll talk you guys through the process. When I first started making waist beads, the production process was way different to what you're going to see me do today. I didn't have a beading machine. I didn't have a beading needle. I didn't have a clasp. All I really had was elastic and beads. So these beads are size 12, but my beads before were size 8 and they were really, really small. And so I used to literally take each individual bead and put them on the elastic. But now, as things do, the process has evolved. And so... Do you know what we did? Oh, yeah. How do you... Okay, perfect. So as I was saying, the process of making waist beads has kind of changed over the years. And when I first started, I started off making waist beads mainly for plus size women because I was a little bit chubbier back then and I was really insecure about it. And so wearing waist beads was a way for me to feel more confident about my body, just more confident in my skin overall. I wasn't a girl, I would say, who was able to take up space, and through the 5 years of doing Cultured Waste, it's completely different. As you can see, I'm on TikTok Live making waist beads for you. And yeah, on my way here, I was thinking about what aspect of wearing waist beads I should speak about, because when it comes to women empowerment and what that means to me, it's not just about... It started off with just empowering us and how we look and realizing that so many false beauty standards are projected onto us, and sometimes we feel like we have to adhere to them. And sometimes, I don't know, I'm going to speak from my own experience. Sometimes I don't feel forced to adhere to them, but when I make certain choices about my beauty, for example, my hair or my makeup, I feel like I'm adhering to them. And it's like I don't feel confident or comfortable with the choices I'm making, and I have to make sure if I'm making them for me and things of that nature. And then over the years, I realized that it wasn't just to do with the choices I was making about how I look. It was about choices I was making about what I was doing with my life, whether it was uni, work, business, with who I was around, whether it was friends, family, romantic relationships. All of that stuff started to... I became more aware of it as I started trying to be intentional about being confident. And so that's what I want more people to do, because I was not in environments that I feel like were for me. I don't feel like I could be myself in those environments, but I was comfortable there. And I learned to make myself small to make other people comfortable. And so through wearing waist beads, and it's not just wearing the waist beads and looking in the mirror and being like, hey, you look good. Okay, cool. I'm going to run my life now. It's kind of like a process of, you look good. I don't feel good. Why don't I feel good? And exploring that and being honest with myself about maybe who I was around or what relationship I was in or whether or not I was happy with my life or with myself. And those are like really, really deep questions to ask yourself. And sometimes it can be hard, especially if you've experienced any kind of trauma or abuse. Sometimes looking at that, especially for me in my experience with my life, a lot of the things that I had to look back at were painful for me. And so being able to beautify myself through those experiences, for example, being, I don't know what words get flagged and stuff on here, but being, what word can I say instead of essayed? being abused in a way that sex is sacred. And so when that sacredness is taken out of it because you didn't really have a choice, it can make you feel really low about yourself. And it was really hard to see myself as beautiful, and it was really hard to feel like I was worthy of anything, worthy of loving myself, worthy of loving other people. And the reason why the work that I do with making waist beads is so important to me is because now I can see other women who have been through what I've been through but haven't healed. And I see them projecting that hurt on other people. Whether it's like a new romantic partner who wants to love you but you're unable to receive the love because of that situation. Or sometimes it can just be your family and friends. I realized I shut a lot of people out because I didn't feel safe. And it wasn't them who didn't make me feel safe, but it was just a process of learning and unlearning, realizing, okay, why do I feel this way and how do I go about that? And so the reason why I used waist beads to do that is because they were shared with me through... I learned about waist beads through my heritage. So I'm from Sierra Leone and Nigeria, West African babe. And when I first learned about waist beads, my grandma was like, oh yeah, you just wear them for your husband. And I was like, okay, how many things have women heard about? And it's like, oh no, it's just for your husband. When it's actually for you, like we don't have to do things for the validation of someone else. And when I started learning more about waist beads and what they're actually for, it was for us to adorn ourselves and to embrace ourselves and our uniqueness and connect to ourselves. If you look into like esoteric knowledge and things of that subject, it will speak about your womb as an energetic center. It's where all your emotions come from. Even though your thoughts are in your mind, it kind of starts off in your womb because as you're a child, you don't know how to explain what you're going through. And sometimes that happens to us in adulthood, but you can identify that there is a feeling. You might not know what the feeling is. You might just be able to say, okay, it hurts, or it feels good, or it tingles, something like that. And so being able to wear waist beads and using the colors and using the crystals as ways to heal, as ways to set intentions is really what waist beads is about. So there's a bunch of things on the table right now. Obviously, I'm making waist beads. I brought these selections of colours because it was kind of what I was feeling. I was feeling pinks, orange, yellow, and I brought a gold. And I think it's because it's winter. Winter is normally the time when I get my seasonal depression because that was repeatedly every other Christmas I would get abused. So every Christmas is quite dark for me. And so I wanted to brighten it up for myself. And so I get to use my waist beads in that way. Sometimes we go through periods of life or seasons of life where we have to do things that we don't want to do. Unfortunately, that's just what it is. Like with social media and all the conversations about manifesting, people make it seem like, well, if you just say what you want and you do what you want, then everything's going to be hunky-dory. And it's like, that's not the reality of life. And so finding ways to make it beautiful, make it loving for you is what I'm trying to help you to do. And it will help you to be more confident because then you know you're aware of everything that you're feeling and everything that you're experiencing. I saw a video on Instagram a couple of days ago or maybe yesterday, and the guy was speaking about how he had to work a teaching job for 2 years and he absolutely hated it. And I'm like, how... I rate his resilience because when I don't like something, you can see it in my face, you can see it in my energy, you can just tell I don't want to be there. There's been times I've pushed through that, for example, at university, but when it came to like jobs and stuff, I couldn't really do it. And then he was speaking about the fact that the only way he learned to kind of get through that was everything outside of the job. So making sure that him and his friends have good relationships, and that helped him carry himself through. And so that's what I want waist beads to be for women who are in positions where they can't change things, especially for mothers. A lot of mothers go through postpartum depression, and that's not something... I feel like they get shamed a lot for it. Like they're seen as bad mothers. Like, why don't you want to be around your child? And it's not that they don't want to be. It can be a lot of pressure being a mum. Obviously, I'm not a mum yet, but just from what I've witnessed, that is what I've kind of started to think about. And so for someone in that position where you've had a baby and you can't just go to the hospital and give it back, you have to be able to create something that's for you. And when you're wearing your waist beads, again, being intentional. I like to meditate a lot with my waist beads. When you're being intentional in that way, you can kind of pause and reflect and remember that your life is still about you, and maintain that balance. So whether it's a job, whether it's a baby, whether it's a business, whether it's a pet, whatever it is that you're committed to that isn't always going to be something that brings you joy, it's about having that one very simple thing. It's just elastic and beads, and it's wrapped around your waist. It may have crystals, it may not, but by you giving it the intention of it, okay, when I wear this, it means that I'm always going to remember myself. I'm never going to pour so much that there's nothing left for me because I have to remember to come home. And so, yeah, if you want to know more about like waist beads, why I make them, why I sell them, the traditional uses of them, because what I'm speaking about is like what they used to use it for way back when in ancient Kemet, which is now Egypt. But over the years, it has kind of developed. I don't remember what tribe it is. It's either the Ashanti tribe or the Krobo tribe in Ghana. But they use beads during ceremonies. So during funerals, during naming ceremonies, birthing ceremonies, things like that. And they use that to set intentions for the person. So you'll get buried with your beads, or a new baby will be given beads, or when you're getting married, when you get engaged, they'll give you beads and you take them off on your wedding night. And they also do that in South Africa. And all this information can be found in my book, Women in Waist Beads, where I talk about the history and traditional uses of waist beads. But I also speak about healing your relationship with yourself through body positivity, confidence, and self-love. These three things are conversations that have increased since social media, because again, those weren't... We'll start with body positivity. With the media, no one was speaking about body positivity because the media was projecting the unrealistic standards and editing pictures and telling people, like the articles that they create of how to lose this much weight and how to do this and how to do that. It was never really about your health. It was always about maintaining a certain image, and it's like you don't need to maintain that image. And healing your relationship with yourself is deciding for you, who am I trying to impress? Am I happy with myself? Am I happy with the choices that I make? Am I happy with my life? Yes? No? If you're not, then obviously you know that that's an area that you want to start focusing on. Okay, what changes can I make? It's not about beating yourself up. That's another thing. Since starting this journey making waist beads, so many women are like, oh, I'll get waist beads once I lose weight or once I reach my body goal. And I'm like, but having a goal isn't the issue, because me too, I've had body goals. I used to be bigger and I lost a lot of weight, and now I'm even back in the gym again and all of those things. But if I don't love and appreciate myself from where I am now, then you're going to be experiencing a lot of negative self-talk, a lot of telling yourself that you're not good enough, you're not doing good enough. Why are you still doing this? Why are you making this mistake again? You said that you was going to change, and it's like, no change, no positive change is going to be able to come with all of that negativity. And so buying yourself a pair of waist beads is like that first step of saying, I'm going to look after me. I'm going to love me. I'm going to care for me. And once you kind of do that, I'm not going to lie, it's not an easy thing to do. It's not just as simple as I'm saying. It's taken me years and I'm still getting through it. I still catch myself on the odd day like, Ebony, you're so stupid. And it's not like a small thing. It'll be... I can really get onto myself sometimes is what I'm trying to say. And I think taking the baby steps over the last 5 years of trying to speak to myself differently has been very empowering for me, because now when other people are mean to me, I don't have to take it as personal. If someone like 5 years ago was to say to me, you're so stupid, I would probably get really upset, go home and cry. Whereas now, I don't really take it personally, because it's like, I feel like you're projecting something onto me. I might have made a mistake, but it doesn't make me stupid. And that's just through growing and deciding, okay, that's not how I want to speak to myself. Another part of that is we hear a lot about inner child healing, and in order to do that, you kind of have to step out of yourself and become your own parent and look at yourself and really care for you like you are a child again. And some of us didn't experience our parents taking care of ourselves in that way, which is why it's so new. And that's why healing your relationship with yourself is important. I'm not going to say in my culture, because it's not every black household that experiences this. And that's what I'm trying to change when I'm speaking, because I know there's a lot of people who do relate to me, but there's also some people who don't. And so I grew up with family who would compare me a lot to other people. I always was quite chubby. I always had a big bum, and I used to get in trouble for it. And when I was 16, I started putting on weight, and everybody had something to say. My dad, before I went to Nigeria, my grandma was like, when you go there, like, can you try and lose some weight, please? Because you're just looking a little bit heavy. And I was just looking at him like, okay. When I would go to my grandma's house, she would be like, Ebony, you look so big. Don't give her as much rice. And I'm like, hey, I still need my dinner. Like, just all of those things impacted how I felt about myself. And so going away to uni, obviously that's when I started. I planned my business beforehand, but I started Cultured Waste while I was at uni. And I was away from all of them and all of the noise. And so whatever I was feeling about my body, I could explore it. When I lost weight and I would say skinny, but I'm still not skinny. But when I lost weight, I didn't know what to do or how to feel, because I was still getting comments from my family. Now it was, oh, you're too thin, you look like you're not eating. And then that's when I realized I can't actually please anybody, and it is about me. And so that is what I want you to know for yourself, that it doesn't matter how someone else feels about you. Even if you're in a relationship with somebody, and this is the part of my growth that I'm so proud of I used to go into relationships waiting for someone else to validate me, and that put me in a dangerous position, because not everybody was validating me from a space of love. Sometimes they was just doing it from a space of, I know that if I make her feel good, she's just going to do everything. And that, yeah, it was very draining. It was very disempowering. It was very, I just wasn't in a good space again, because it's like I'm waiting for someone to tell me that I'm good enough. I'm waiting for someone to tell me that I'm beautiful. And if they feel like they don't want to do that today because they don't feel good, or because they feel like they don't want me to feel good about myself, speaking of narcissists, it's just not healthy. And there's so many women who are in relationships like that, who are in friendships like that, who are in work relationships like that. And they can't always just leave. Again, I'm one of those people where if I'm in a position like that and I realize and I can't take it anymore, I'm out. Not everyone can make that choice. And so how can you empower yourself to set boundaries? How can you start taking those steps to realizing, okay, I don't like the way I'm being treated. What am I going to do about it? You have to know that that is always the power that you do have, even if you can't really move. When I was in a toxic relationship, I was in my final year of uni, and I was volunteering for an organisation who kept saying that they was going to give me a job. And so it got to the point where I needed to move out of my student accommodation, and they're still like promising this job, and it's been like 7 months that I was volunteering now. And my employer, she asked me like what I was going to do about where I was living, and I was like, well, I'm trying to move, but I don't have any money because I'm volunteering and I'm a student and I don't have a job in my business. It brings in a little bit of income here and there, but it wasn't anything that could sustain actually living. And she basically told me to stay in my relationship so that I could live in Coventry, which was really messed up, and I did it at first. And when I left that relationship, I was essentially homeless. I got to stay with someone who I was close to in my community. Luckily, they gave me somewhere to stay until I got a job and found my own place. But I had to put myself in that hard position because I didn't want to be in that relationship anymore. And now looking back, I'm really grateful that I did that. Obviously, it was hard at the time. And I know that not everyone has the strength to make a choice like that. And so that's why, just from the little step of wearing waist beads, I want you to feel like you have control of your life. You can have the things that you want and know that you deserve them. So if it's love, know that you deserve that. And if that's not what you're receiving, know that you can let go of it and walk away. And whatever it is that you do want will eventually come to you. If it's a certain job, if it's a certain, like, we all have so many different desires on different scales. And sometimes we settle. We don't always have to. Like, some... I think this conversation is so hard to have because it's like, again, I don't want to be one of those people who comes and says, well, you can just have everything you want and it's going to be exactly what you want, because that's not true. Sometimes you are going to have to make compromises, but not settle on the core things that you want. And so wearing waist beads really helped me to be decisive when you're choosing your colors. I guess I read a book a couple of years ago. It's called Color Therapy, and it talks about color coming from light, and also seeing color in the dark, and then also the energetic connotations of each color and how it can make you feel. And so you have the spectrums of each color, the different shades and stuff, and all of those things can evoke emotions within you. And so I always say to people, I did a post recently actually about how to shop waist beads at Cultured Waist. And I said, I need you to take 5 minutes to yourself, and I need you to close your eyes, and I need you to think about what you need. Do you need love? Do you need money? Do you need support? Do you need friends? Do you need a new job? Where is it in your life that you want to improve? Where do you want to grow? Where are you now? What are you happy with? What are you not? And then going onto the store and looking at the waist beads and looking at what colors you're drawn to and asking yourself why. If I had that color on my waist and I looked at myself in the mirror, how would that make me feel? Or what is it that I want to feel? Whenever I want to... If you've ever heard of the chakra systems, you have 7 energetic systems. Apparently there's more, but there's 7 main ones. And so you have your root chakra, which is represented by the color red. And it's about your safety and your protection and whether you feel like all your needs are being met. And that is physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and financial needs. And then you have your sacral chakra, and that's represented by the color orange. And that's all about it's your creative energy, but it's also your sexual and your sensual energy. And again, it's your emotional center. And it's all about how you feel and if you feel safe in feeling those. Your solar plexus is next, and that's around your stomach area. And it's represented by the color, it's represented by the color yellow. And that's about your confidence and your self-trust. And I would even say about your faith. And then moving up, you have your heart chakra, which is represented by the color green. And it's all about love. So self-love, but also universal love. And I feel like that's the part that people forget. Self-love is a balancing act between loving internally yourself and loving externally. And that is the things that you do, the people that you see. It could be strangers in the street, it could be your family. A lot of people feel like, I don't know, I feel like the self-love movement became very selfish. And it became just about how one individual feels, and people forgot about how their emotions impact other people. My example that I always give of that is, I'm fortunate enough to say now that I've seen my worst days. I've been in that position where I had nothing and I had nobody, and I thought I didn't want to be here anymore. And to keep on going after that is a very beautiful thing. And so when I look at people who have also been in that position, the difference that I recognize, and I'd say the key is my self-love, and it's all to do with my waist beads and being intentional, is I don't now look at people who are once in and think I'm more than them because I made it through it. A lot of, well, look at musicians, because that's where I mainly started realising it. I grew up listening to music and I love a lot of music, but I can't take a lot of it anymore because a lot of them are in their egos about how much they make or what they've got, what they're driving, where they're eating, where they're this and where they're that. And so it's like, if they, in some of their lyrics, they will disrespect other people who aren't in that position. And I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. You've triumphed through something. You faced the trial and you've got to the other end. But how does that give you the right to essentially mock someone for being in a trial, whether they know it or not? Because again, not everybody is aware of the power that they have within themselves to get through hard times. Those times are made to make you, are there to make you, not there to break you. They can if you let them, but this is why self-love is what will carry you through. When I found it really hard to love myself when I was in that period of time, because I couldn't take care of myself in the way that I wanted to. And there was times when I would compare myself to someone else, or I would experience jealousy. And it's that thing. Everybody experiences jealousy, because you can see someone else with something that you don't have and say, hey, I want that. But it becomes unhealthy when you feel like you need to go and take it from them, or you feel like you need to put them down because of it, and all of these things. Even bullying. I got bullied my whole life, from family, from teachers, from other students at school. And it's only recently that I've been starting to understand that it's because they saw something in me that they didn't see within themselves. And it doesn't mean that they didn't have it. It just means that they were too busy looking outside of themselves. And that's why you need to balance looking outside and looking inside. Because if you see something for someone else, you have to understand that we're all human. What is possible for me is possible for you. And empowering yourself is, I'm going to have that one day. And maybe even being happy for the person that you've seen and being inspired by it, rather than putting yourself down, and then when you put yourself down, you feel comfortable putting other people down. This is how we have such a negative... This is why there's such a negative culture on social media. I feel like when you put yourself in the spotlight, there are trolls. People are going to say negative things towards you, and you have to be able to transmute that into positivity to continue what you're doing and putting yourself out there. Because if not, you're just going to be in this space of isolating yourself because negativity's been thrown at you, not really trusting the positivity that's coming towards you, and then also throwing negativity out because it's like, well, people are doing it to me. But no, if you know yourself and you love yourself, then you know you don't need to stoop to their level. Michelle Obama always says, when others go low, we go high. You don't need to tit for tat. You don't need to reciprocate energy, because you're not the same. That's facts. And yeah, I feel like I just said a lot. I've just been talking a lot. But again, my name's Ebony. I'm on live making waist beads for you guys today. And waist beads are a tool of self-empowerment. They are a tool of being intentional. They are a tool of... I feel like being intentional is what manifestation is. When you want something to manifest. I made a video a couple years ago about this, actually. Because I was speaking to someone at my uni, and she was like, I don't believe in manifestation. And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, well, people like speak about it and stuff, but I just don't believe it's a real thing. But I said, but every action has a consequence, and that's all that manifestation is. You put this input in, and it manifested this output. And so when you're not aware of... I'm not saying that you have to put your whole life into manifestation and doing all of that stuff, but when you are aware of that fact that everything manifests, you start to look at, okay, what am I putting out? What energy am I putting out? Spiritual Teak, she made a post the other day, and she said she needs us to look at what energy we're putting out. We may be aware of what energy we're receiving, but do we know what we're doing in response to that, or why we may be receiving it, because sometimes it's because of us. An example of that is recently me and my mum are 17 years apart, so not that far. We both have attitudes. We're both Nigerian, so. And sometimes I'm just like, you're just being too audacious. And I get in this mood of like, why are you always trying to tell me what to do? Like, I didn't ask you. But the way in which I've approached the conversation, it's like, I need your validation. And so I can't be mad at her for giving me her comment when I've come to her with something for her to comment on it. And so that's me being aware of myself and empowering myself and saying, okay, I feel like my mum is crossing a boundary, but I haven't set a boundary. And that's healing. Healing isn't always big, huge, I don't know. Sometimes it can be big and huge and crying and all of these things. Sometimes it can be big and huge and celebrating and so exciting. And sometimes it can just be small little changes like that. Like, oh, I'm going to pose what I'm saying as a statement and not as a question, so that you know I'm not asking and I'm just letting you know. And yeah. What time is it? It is 1:08. If you are, I don't even know if people are, I don't have my glasses on, I'm going to leave it. But I'm going to save the giveaway for the end of the live. The first bead that I made, I use this, like, I've actually got this colour on under my dress. But it's like pink and it's got a yellowy orange case around it. So I'll just hang this over here. All of our waist beads are 1 meter long and they come with a tie-on clasp. So essentially when you get your waist bead, you'll take the side with the clasp and you will wrap it around yourself. And you'll wrap it around yourself. My knees, I shouldn't have said it like that. And you'll essentially cut it to where you want it to go. So if I wanted it here, and where you put your waist beads is up to you. So some people wear it up here closer to their waist, and some people wear it down here closer to their hips. And I kind of like to layer mine, so I'll have one here, and one by my hips. But as I was saying, you find where you want to tie it to and leave a little bit of extra string so that you can tie a knot. Obviously the extra beads will be there, so make sure you have something to pour them into. And you tie your elastic to the other side of the clasp, and then you can just open it and close it to take off your waist beads when you want to. In terms of how to wear waist beads, I recommend everyday wear because they're something that you can shower with. They don't really cause a fuss. It's only when they're really loose that they kind of get in your way. A lot of women snap their waist beads when they're going to the toilet, pulling down their pants. But I also feel like that used to happen to me when I was rushing a lot. And so I'd advise you slow down. And that's another thing. So learning about the history of waist beads, especially in ancient Kemet, they always speak about feminine energy being very slow and steady. And when I was at uni, running a business, studying, in a toxic relationship, and volunteering, but managing like 3 big projects and 2 small ones, there was no time to be slow and steady. So I was always moving here, there, and everywhere. And I just felt like I was a mess. I felt like everything was always going faster than I was. So even when I would sit down to be still, it's like my mind is still racing. My mind is still in between, like maybe healing childhood trauma and setting plans for the future and being where I am in the present and doing this and doing that. And so, again, being able to slow down, maybe taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the mirror in the morning or before bed just to look at myself and be like, hey, how you doing, Ebony? You okay? Was really, really, really helpful for me, because then it meant that like I wasn't carrying whatever I was carrying into the next day and into the next week and into the next month. That's what I used to do when I was younger. I would get upset about something and not say anything, especially because I didn't have... My dad isn't the kind of man that you can tell that you're upset with. as soon as you tell him that he's done something wrong, it's deflection. It's, you just want me to be a monster. You just want everyone to think I'm a monster. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to tell you you're upset. 2 weeks ago, I had to finally release, like, hurt from year 9 when my dad said he was coming to parents' evening and he just didn't show up. So I was just standing at parents' evening, like, all evening, and everyone's like, Ebony, where's your dad? And I'm like, I don't know. So I went home and I cried and I was like, do you even care about me? Like, I worked so hard at school and you didn't even come. And he was like, why are you just trying to make me sound like a bad dad? And then, like, 2 weeks ago when I was thinking about it, I was like, Ebony, why are you still upset about it? And it's like, I didn't have these tools back then to be able to have the conversation with myself, because again, he wasn't hearing anything about me being upset. To him, it was just a, do you want something to cry for? Because you're getting on my nerves. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So I didn't say anything. But then if I had my waist beads and that little 5-10 minute ritual back then, I could have just looked in the mirror and been like, Ebony, it doesn't matter if you came or not. You know you're doing well at school, so well done. Pat myself on the back and go into the next day not feeling upset. And I feel like, again, that emotion, I carried it onto college. I carried it onto uni, because after I finished year 11, it's like nobody even... They paid attention to what I was doing in terms of make sure you go to school. And every time I wanted to quit, no, you're not quitting. But then actually knowing what was going on, I don't even think my parents knew what I was studying until I graduated. So, yeah. It's just being able to... Before, I used to cry about that and get upset about it and be like, well, yeah, my parents didn't this and my parents didn't that. But now I'm able to do that for me. So I don't have to be mad at them. And I never thought I was going to... When I went to uni, I stopped speaking to my dad. I never thought I was going to speak to him again. But then I realised the love that I was always waiting for him to give me, I give to myself now. So what? I don't really have any problems. I don't need you to show up for me in any particular way anymore. And so I can just accept the way that you can show up for me. And if it is unhealthy or it is any of those things, I'm able to speak up about that, because I know it's out of self-love. It's out of self-respect. And it's never to disrespect anybody else. It's just I've spent time daily thinking about what I want and what I don't want, based on what I've already experienced and based on maybe what I've seen, and like, okay, I just went through this, or I just had a conversation today and I do not like how this person spoke to me. So in future, if this particular person or anybody approaches me like this, how am I going to handle it? How am I going to deal with it? And that is the healing the relationship with yourself, because you can't control other people. You can't control what they're going to do. You can't control what they're going to say. Yeah, it's just, damn. It's like a whole, once you start healing your inner child in terms of reparenting yourself and making sure that your emotional needs are met, because I feel like emotional needs are put to the back end, and that is something that my parents always deflected onto me from their parents. So my parents had me when I was 17 and 19. So I watched them grow out of... Well, no, I didn't actually. I saw them being emotionally immature. And every time I would speak to my dad about anything to do with his parenting and our relationship, automatically it's, well, yeah, well, when I was growing up, my parents... And it's like that deflection lets me know that you're not in a space of healing your relationship with yourself, because you don't need to do that anymore. You don't live with your parents. You don't, even if you do, like, there's a point in time where you don't... Oh, no, that's not what I was saying. I was talking about emotional fulfillment. So he'll say, oh, yeah, but my parents this and my parents that. And so it's this thing that's been passed down of... There's so many toxic things that's been passed down. I don't know if I have time to go into all of them now, but one of them is, honestly... One of them is like...
We'll be here all year.
Honestly, like protecting your image instead of just being honest and taking accountability. That was a huge one that I had a problem with, because it's like... Again, if I speak to him about something, it's, oh, you just think I'm a monster and you want people to think I'm a monster. no, you've made me upset and I want to have a conversation about it because I'm angry at you. But now you've not made it, I'm not allowed to be angry at you because I'm just trying to make you seem like a monster and I'm doing something wrong because of the way that I feel. And not being able to feel in that way from a young age over the years became toxic because I just started holding everything in. I would go to anywhere. At school when I was getting bullied, there was a day I was doing my textiles work in the library and one of my bully's minions came to get me from my table where I was sitting by myself. And she's like, this girl's calling you. And then he said her name, well. She's like, the girl's calling you. So I've gone around the corner to where they chill in the library. There's like 30 of them, all just sitting down. And she's just doing her thing. She's picking on me. And I'm just standing there. And when she's finished speaking, and I'm just standing there, then I was just like, can I go? And at the time, it was very empowering for me because I know how powerful silence can be. But at the same time, it's like now that I'm older and it's not school anymore and there's no teachers to come and like I would go and speak to my teachers after and be like, don't say anything in it, but this person's getting on my nerves. But I actually had like real relationships with my teachers. It was crazy. It's like we were friends. More than I had student friends, but yeah. Now I understand how not speaking up isn't emotionally fulfilling for me because maybe you feel like you can just get away with it. Maybe you feel like you can go and treat someone else like that. And so you have to remember that when you're healing yourself, you're also healing the world because you're going to impact or influence someone else to do things differently, to be differently, to accept different things. And that is a very beautiful thing. And so the Pretty Face Culture Based community is a community of women who are on this journey of saying, I'm not just going to handle what you're giving to me and just take it because you're giving it to me. You're going to know that I'm a woman who's aware of who I am and what I want. And whether I have all of those things yet or not, I have a clear understanding of what I do want. And so I can discern when you bring it to me, yes or no. Is this in alignment with what I said I want? Is this in alignment with who I said I am? If it's not, then I'm so sorry. If it is, then hey, where the party at? Where is the party? Obviously not an actual party, it's just a phrase, but I'm going to show you like this. This is one of our cultured waist designs, but we have 4. This is the first one that we had. And so it says Pretty Face Cultured Waist on it. We've got our merchandise on Etsy. I'm actually redoing them right now. So there's gonna be loads of new colours. We're gonna have hoodies, t-shirts, and probably some other stuff. I think mugs, tote bags, all of that. I'm trying to see if I can show you guys the other designs just because they're amazing. And I can't. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead and start making the second waist bead. It is officially 1:20. We are on live until 2 o'clock. And so at 1:45, I'm going to do a giveaway. I've got some affirmation cards here. I'm going to do a giveaway. Sorry. I'm going to do a giveaway. I haven't, I've been drinking it so slowly.
Do you want me to put more hot water?
Okay, thanks. I don't know if there's a hole in my mouth, but
hot water.
Yes, please. Okay. I have these affirmation cards here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle them and read the affirmations out. But some of the affirmations have prizes on the back. And so I want you guys to get involved. If you comment, what shall I ask you to comment? I don't know yet. I'm going to think about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get each of you to comment. And we'll do, well, if you want to participate anyway in the giveaway, you'll comment and I will shuffle for you. And we'll see if you win anything. And if you don't, you still get something because you get an affirmation to go home and take. And the most beautiful thing that I love about life, thank you, is that everything is always aligned. And so whatever affirmation that you do receive, I feel like it's going to resonate with you. And even if you don't understand it straight away, I want you to sit with it and really think about what it means for you, how it relates to you. And if you're willing to share, you can share it with me. You can share on this TikTok. You can share on the Cultured Waste TikTok or the Cultured Waste Instagram. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I do this every dive because it's actually really cool.
Nice.
Let's start making the second bead.
So how long have you been bead making for?
I started in 2019. I thought of that idea in 2016 when I was in college. I was working at McDonald's actually. And I remember I told all my... There was like a group of...
What's it like working in McDonald's?
That was my first job. So obviously I was very excited to be making money. And anything they would ask me to do, I just did it. And then after a while I realised it's just... They don't value individual employees. It's just like a working machine and you play your part in it and you go. They would make me do all of the work and congratulate me and all of that, but they wouldn't promote me. Just so many weird things. I ended up having to leave. So I worked in 2 McDonald's, one in Walthamstow and one in Forest Gate. The first one, I got fired from because I was supposed to go to work, but I went to Carnival with my boyfriend at the time. And my mum was supposed to call in sick for me, but she forgot. So they stopped giving me shifts. And then the second one, one of my colleagues inappropriately touched me in the storage room. This like old Asian guy. He was like over 40 and I was 19. So I told my manager and they gave me 10 days off and told me to just come back to work. And I didn't like that. This is what I mean about some people would have to stay in that position to feed themselves or feed their family, And I was just like, I'm not being funny. I've been violated at work where I'm supposed to feel safe. And you guys are not... I didn't know anything about HR at that time, by the way. So you guys are not, like, doing anything about it. I was crying to them and everything. On the day that it happened and I told my boss, I told the lady, there was the main manager and then the assistant manager. The assistant manager was a woman, so I told... And they were both black, so I was really upset. But anyway... I told the assistant manager and she told me to speak to the guy and tell him not to do that again. So I went to speak to him, but he doesn't speak English. So I'm saying to him, when you touched me, I didn't like it. And he's saying, oh, you don't like me. You don't want to give me your number. And I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to say to you. So I got frustrated and I went back to her. Then she called the actual manager. And then he's the one who was like, oh, take 10 days off because I seemed distressed. So on the 9th day I messaged him and I said, oh, what happens now? And he said, oh, come to your shift. And I was like, I'm not coming back. And I just didn't go back ever. So yeah, it literally was. Oh, also let me actually expose the truth about McDonald's. I do not like eating McDonald's. Even though sometimes I'll go and get like chips or something. I used to work with this guy who used to pick his nose and make burgers. Yeah. Yeah.
Good thing you're not working there anymore.
I know.
He used to pick his nose and make burgers.
Literally just wipe on his trousers and then go back to making I was just like, oh no, that's not hygienic at all. Sorry if I put you... Actually, I'm not sorry if I put you off McDonald's. Their food is not healthy. Don't eat McDonald's. Anyway. Again, these are things that I had to like... I guess face. When you go through so many things on your own, especially when you're young, you feel like nobody's there to protect you. I believe in God, but I'd say that started over the last 2 years. Not started. When I was younger, I was a very dedicated Christian. And I've always believed in God and I've always prayed and I've always like done all of those things. Half of my family was Muslim and half of my family was Christian. And so I was always like shown both sides of those things. I also studied with Jehovah's Witnesses because my stepmom was a Jehovah's Witness for 8 years.
You had it.
Yeah. I'm a wild, free spirit. And so all of these things was just rules and rules and rules and rules and rules. And so I didn't have a problem with the rules. I'll just ask why.
But it shaped you into who you are now because you learnt so many different doctrines.
It did at the same time, but I feel like I had to unlearn them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not religious anymore. But I definitely believe in God, and I'm definitely very spiritual. And I definitely have seen God work in my life. Because again, going from what I was going through to what I'm doing now, I'm still just like, is this real? Like, can I touch it? Can I feel it? Being here right now is, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, all of those things put so many rules and so many ideas in my head about who I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to be. And so healing my relationship with myself was, wait, who do I want to be? And how do I want to be? Am I happy with myself? There's people who, because I'm not Muslim or because I'm not Christian, they think I'm a witch. And I'm like, okay, good for you. I'm happy with myself. There's people who think that I'm ungodly because of certain things that I've experienced or things that I've done or choices that I've made. And it's like, that's good for you, but I'm aware of who I am. I'm aware of everything I've done. I take accountability for it. And I chat to God on a regular about it because that's the only person who sees all of it and actually knows my heart. You can hear me speak on live, even if you show up to this live every single week, twice a week for a whole year, you still wouldn't be able to understand who I am fully. And that is with each and every single one of us. And so it's up to us to understand ourselves and then know how do we want to share the different parts of ourselves. And that's what boundaries essentially are. At first, because I was raised to be a people pleaser, which was jarring. And so unlearning that was really, really difficult for me because it's like, wait, I just need to please myself. Like, it's like, if other people disagree with what I want, it doesn't matter. It was really shocking because, again, I didn't have that choice growing up of what does Ebony want. It was always, this is what is for Ebony. Whether it was what I was studying, like what I was doing with my life, what I was wearing, all of those things. And so, I lost my train of thought. I really, really lost it. I don't know. I was speaking about understanding yourself. Oh, and not being a people pleaser anymore. When you get into that space of deciding that you're going to live for you, again, you will be happier because you're choosing your own happiness and you know that you are the creator of like your life experience. And that's the difference between the people who speak about manifestation in terms of just do what you want and you'll get what you want, and create your experience. Whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you don't, that is all a part of your experience. And your perception is what is going to make it what it is or not. So when I was going through my hardest days, that was just a test to see if I was really dedicated to what I was doing or not. That could have been the period of time where it's like, no, this is not working. Like, the money's not coming in. I'm not really seeing this. I'm not seeing that. I've got bills due and I don't know how I'm going to pay them. Like, all of that stress and being under that weight can be a lot. And so, during that period of my life, I had a lot of people around me who felt like I was stupid because I wanted to keep on going with what I was doing and I wanted to keep on believing in myself, and I didn't want to compromise myself for money because I came from I have to talk about it. Okay, I used to be on the roads. I used to do illegal stuff for money, and then I decided to stop when I started building my relationship with God. My family all have one foot in, one foot out. And so me making that decision, they did not like it. They was like, who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? You're crazy. Like, why don't you just do it? Because you're clearly struggling. You're clearly starving. And I'm like, what I can see happening here and the opportunity for me to grow is my perception of my situation. But all you're seeing is you don't have anything. You're not anything. So who do you think you are? And so by having self-love, I didn't take it personally. I just said, Well, actually, I'm lying. At first, I took it personally, and I was angry, and I was like, "Why are these people who are supposed to be my family being so horrible? Why don't they believe in me? Why don't they see what I see? Why don't they see how hard I've been working since before I started my business? Like, I've always been a hard worker." And then it was realizing, whether they see it or not, whether they understand or not, this is what I've chosen for me. And so, who can take that away from me? Nobody can. And unless I give it to them. And that took healing. Because again, as a people pleaser, everybody was angry at me when I wasn't even bothering them. I'm the one who's going through the hard time. Yeah, I'm going through the hard time, and everybody's like, let me just add my 2 pence just because I feel like it. Honestly. I wasted a lot of energy and time like being angry at them and even trying to prove myself to them that I can do this. I know what I'm doing, like showing them when I'm working on my website and showing them this and showing them that, and when opportunities was coming out, I'd be like, oh my gosh, look, like this is happening. And yeah, it's not the big thing, it's not paying all the things. Some of the things were even free, but it's building me. I get to experience it and know that I can do public speaking now. I can do this, I can do that. And I just didn't get it. So I had to grow and realize that was a huge waste of my time and my energy. And it's nothing personal. Now, when I'm at home, if I'm going somewhere, my mum will be like, can I ask where you're going? I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm going out. Like, that's my boundary. I don't want to tell you what I'm doing anymore because you don't support it. And again, growing out of being a people pleaser, that was so hard. It was so heartbreaking because my mum was always like my best friend to me. And so having to change the dynamic of the relationship because it's not working for me, it was a challenge, but it showed me that I had the capability to love myself. Again, being in all these situations where I'm dealing with something and maybe it does serve me in a certain way, but not in a major way. It's being able to choose yourself first. Against all things, against your job, against your parents, against your partner, sometimes against your children. And when I used to hear that, I used to think, nah, that's terrible, man. But at the end of the day, you too are a person the same as your child is a person. And if you don't put yourself first, you can't even show up for that child. This is why you see so many mothers, like, just taking everything out on their children. Because they're not in a space of having patience. They don't have time for your crying and your this and your that and your emotions because they don't have time for their own. And so until you start to make that time for your own, you're not going to be able to do that for anybody else. And so my whole mission right now is to help women to slow down and to really look at their choices, realize, why are you unhappy? Where are you projecting energy that maybe isn't serving you or isn't in alignment with what you said you want for yourself or who you say you are? And how can you get closer to that? Because if I say I'm a millionaire, yeah, but I've just been kicked out of my flat because I'm in rent arrears and I can't pay my bills and I'm self-employed but it's not really going well and all of those things, that's a delusion. People will think you're crazy. But I said that about myself. And so I'm going to live as closely to that as possible. I'm going to keep on working on my business. I'm going to find ways to manage my stress to do with money and ways to manage my money better so that I can get to the goal that I want to be in. It's about never losing focus of where you want to go, but also being exactly where you are. Because if you know where you want to go, but you're ignoring where you are, you're not going to move anywhere. You're just going to keep on thinking you're getting closer to the goal, but the goal is getting further away from you because you're still in spot A. You can't skip to spot 9. And that's in any goal. It doesn't have to be financial. It could be an emotional goal. One of the goals that I had to set for myself was, okay, whenever I feel insecure about my body, I'm not going to tell my boyfriend to F off because it's not fair to him. That insecurity came from my own experiences and what people did to me. And so me pushing you away, it's not healthy for the relationship, and I want us to grow the relationship. And so yeah, it even took me a really long time to realize that was what I was doing, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't slow down. if I didn't think of, okay, why do I feel the way that I feel? Or why am I behaving this way? What is going on with me? And being aware of yourself and your energy is what Waste Bead is about. Yeah. What time is it? 1:36.
20 minutes.
What did you say?
You got 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know what else to speak about right now. I'm just saying whatever comes to my head.
What are some of your 2025 aspirations? What are you doing?
Okay, so the first thing is my nutrition. I need to completely change it. This year, I was eating so much sugar. It was like an anxiety thing. I'd get nervous and I'd just go grab whatever sugar my mum had in the house. And she had everything. She had brownies, Haribos, biscuits, Kit Kats. It was just all in there. So I'm trying to implement more fruit and veg into my diet. That's my physical goal. For my mental health, my goal is to go to therapy. So I did a 16-week art therapy course, which was like free for under 25s, but I'm about to be 26, so all that like free youth stuff is not going to be accessible for me anymore. But I want to like keep on actively working on healing through my childhood trauma, because I just ended up isolating myself and working a lot, and then realizing, okay, I don't talk to any of my family, I don't talk to any of my friends. I didn't know what to do. So that's my mental goal. Spiritually, I think it's weird that it's my spiritual goal, but my spiritual goal is to travel, because I want to experience different places, different cultures, just all of that stuff. I haven't traveled that much. Emotional goal, I think it's the way in which I respond to jealousy. And so, for me, because I'm coming out of a situation of like not having, of going through hardship and stuff, I didn't think I was anything or anyone to be jealous of. I just saw myself in my determination. And so, every time someone would attack me or be horrible or spread rumors or all of these things, I'd just wild out. I'd get really, really angry. Because I used to be on the road, I didn't have that emotional intelligence of how to deal with my anger. I just used to smoke it. And so, that's my emotional goal, to quit smoking and find a way to deal with my anger when they start doing that nonsense. Because they're going to do it. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. Okay, cool. Because both my parents smoke as well. So it's just so easy. I don't have to do anything. But yeah. So working on that. And then financial goal, I guess it's just my business. I want to create steady income for myself. So I don't need to hit the big bucks yet, but I just want to be able to sustain myself. Yeah. Even that. Oh no, I love this now. Thanks. Wearing waist beads helped me to set bigger goals for myself, because I started wearing it as a way to build my confidence, then realizing confidence is self-trust and how I believe in myself, how I have faith. Faith is, yes, about having faith in God, the divine, Allah, however you resonate with God, but in order to have faith in something outside of you, you have to have faith in yourself first. And trust and believe that you're going to be able to follow the guidance that God gives you and listen to the calls and move this way when God says to move this way and stuff like that. And so by doing that in small ways, maybe like, oh, I said I'm going to go gym and I will go gym, like I'm reaching that goal, things like that. Now I can set bigger goals for myself, and each time it's like, okay, dream a little bit bigger, set it a little bit higher. I did go all the way to the other extent of, okay, I'm dreaming way too small, dream huge. But then dealing with that disappointment, it wasn't great. It wasn't fun. And so I think there's a healthy way to approach your goals. And it is about being realistic with what you're willing and able to do. I think because of social media, we can all compare ourselves when we get inspired by somebody to be like, okay, I need to do exactly what they're doing. But what you really need to do is find your own source and flavor. What's your flow? What do you like to do? What can you actually commit? Are you actually going to do that thing, or does it just sound good? Because even with me, what example do I have of that? I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to the gym 7 days a week. There's people who do it, who go to the gym every single morning.
You're just in pain. I wrote a post about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I fell into the, wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym at 6:30, and like whatever. I was in pain. I had aches.
That's what I'm saying. It's too much.
It's just too much. Now I go to the gym in the evenings, and I'm so much more satisfied, and I'm actually seeing results, and it's actually so much better. So you have to find your own flow. Like, take it with a pinch of salt.
Definitely.
And just find, because right now we're like, it's like a life coach epidemic.
Yeah. Honestly, no, but it's terrible. Everybody's just like, I have the right answer. And it's like, but there's no right answer.
We're going through a life coaching epidemic. Yes. Everyone's going to tell you what to do, how to do it, what to eat, what to not eat.
Yes. That's why whenever I say something to somebody, I'm like, but this is just what I do for me. I don't know. You have to find your own one. Because, I spoke at this Black Women's Wellbeing Conference, and I met this girl there. And so throughout the event, we was kind of like speaking to each other after each talk. And there was a lady on there, and someone asked her a question. And she was like, oh, if you want to cut out your bad habits, like, how do you do that while you're implementing good ones? How do I trade them out? And she was like, oh, I don't cut out my bad habits. I just do them and do the good ones as well. And we was like, that could be very toxic, because your bad habit could be like, oh, I have a glass of wine every night. Her bad habit could be like, she has like 3 bottles of wine every night. And so if you tell her, oh yeah, it's okay, just drink like 3 bottles of water as well, that's not, do you know what I mean? That's when I realised you can't just take what everybody says as the truth and the authority. Possible. Yeah. And the worst part is the way in which why we give people that truth and authority. Because of who co-signs them, or because of fame, or because of money, or because of how many followers all of those things. And it's like, none of that actually means that
they are the right person
to
spread that message.
It's the truth.
And more importantly, they might not even resonate with you.
That's what I'm saying. And a lot of people are, this is why I don't care. I will come online and I'll tell you guys exactly where I am in my journey and what I'm going through, because I'm just a person. I don't need to come on here and pretend to be perfect, because nobody is. I can speak about self-love and healing the relationship with yourself. The relationship with myself right now is probably like on 30%, and that's the improvement from the 10% that I was on from the start of the year. Okay, it's not on 30%, it's not that bad. But what I'm trying to say is that we're all just people working on things, and who said that you needed to show up as perfect or do this and do that anyway? It's always up to you. It's always, that's why I say to sit down and think about, what do you need right now? I tried to start going gym a couple months ago, and at that time I realized I'm not going gym for me. I'm going gym because I miss being in the gym, babe. Like, I'm seeing the girls on Instagram and they're in the gym, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not a gym babe anymore. And I'm in the gym and I'm not enjoying it. I'm like, I'd really rather just be at home and do yoga right now. So I just quit my membership, and I said, okay, I'm just going to go home and do yoga, because that's what I want to do.
And it's phases as well. And it's being okay with going through the different phases.
That's the
knowing
point.
that you're going to come out on the other side.
It's the truth. And you have to remember, there's going to be people around you. Like, with me trying to change my eating, I will say to my mom, oh, don't buy as many snacks, because I'm not trying to eat them like that. She'll buy them anyway, and I'll feel bad, so I'll eat it. And she said, oh, I thought you were trying to be better. And that energy can make you feel really down about yourself. And so that's why having a healthy relationship with yourself, where you can celebrate your successes, but you can also celebrate your failures and say, I said I was going to not eat like 3 bars of chocolate today, And I did, so, Ebony, what are you doing? And just kind of laugh about it, but also be serious, but not to the point where you're making yourself feel like, I don't know, just like you're not good enough. Like you don't deserve grace. Like you have to be perfect. That's not real.
I agree. Okay, so it's 2:45.
Okay, perfect.
So, if you want to do a giveaway.
Yeah, I'm going to do the giveaway. Here are the waist beads that I made.
Oh, they're so nice.
Honestly. This one it's got like a transparent glow around it. I don't know if it even looks, you know that filter that has the twinkly stars? It looks like it's going on naturally.
It's very, very nice.
Literally.
You made it so quickly. I don't know about you, but that sound is quite soothing.
It is.
I don't know why I liked it.
I always use like my time for making waist beads again as time to do this reflection and this thinking as well. Mm-hmm. Especially, obviously I'm using the machine right now, but sometimes if I want to do like a custom and have pink, orange, yellow, then I have to do it bead by bead by bead, and that takes a lot longer. And you just spend that time with yourself crafting and just exploring all the things in your mind. Here is my deck of affirmations. We have got one person in the live. I'm not sure if you want to be the only person to try and enter the giveaway, but I'm gonna shuffle the affirmation cards and share the affirmation with you. And if there's a winner ticket on the back, then of course you'll be the winner because you're the only one here. And if not, then you get to take this affirmation. And I was saying earlier that I want you to sit with it and think about how it resonates with you and just embrace it. They're all positive affirmations. They're all with the intention of loving yourself. Oh, there's 2 people now. So I'm going to shuffle them. If you're actually active and you want to be in the giveaway, drop a 1 in the comment. And then I know to say, okay, one of you, this is your card. And the other one, this is your card.
I think it's us.
Thank you. So we've got 1. Yeah, that's fine.
It's me.
And so I have to close my eyes because if I look at the front, I'll see the affirmation. If I look at the back, I'll see if you won or not. Oh, you did win as well. Oh my gosh. It says keep it up.
Just what I needed to hear.
So you're doing amazing. And you've won a free waist bead.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you want one of these 2 or you can choose a different colour and I'll just make it and bring it next time.
No, I have one of the ones you made.
Okay.
I'll go for the pink one.
The lighter one or the darker one?
Light one.
Here you are.
Woo! Can I wear it for my husband?
Of course you can. Oh yeah, don't ever get it twisted. Even though they're for us, you know, the rattling of waist beads on a woman's waist used to be an aphrodisiac.
Oh, really?
Used to be. My boyfriend is a very African man. He loves it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm going to go put it on when I get home.
And then, yeah, that is everything.
So how was it? Have you enjoyed it?
I absolutely love this. I feel like I just did a workshop, but just by myself, essentially. When I do the workshops, obviously, it's just women engaging in the conversations and they'll share their experiences as well. But I'm here on live. And so hopefully, as we continue to grow, we'll have more people coming in and sharing their experiences too, being able to grow in confidence, being able to... It's really about being able to be vulnerable with yourself. A lot of us, because of social media, but also just life in general, it's like we're raised to feel ashamed. Whether it's because of how we feel, whether it's because of what we want, or whether it's because of like what we've been through in our past and stuff. And so being able to be open about it, whether it's good or bad, or those things are subjective, is going to be really freeing for you, because then you don't have to hide in this space of it can feel dark. And so this is essentially me trying to help people to get out of that dark space within themselves and realize that it's safe for you to still be loved, it's safe for you to still be happy, it's safe for you to still choose joy, no matter what. Yeah, that's me. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really, really, really enjoyed doing this. Don't forget that on Sunday, I'm going to be live on the Cultured Waste Instagram, doing a bead and chill at home. Probably going to be, I think I'm just going to be like singing and chilling to music because it's Self-Care Sunday. And then next Thursday, we'll be back again from, I think, 2 to 4 p.m. next week.
Yes.
But look out for the post, and I will see you next week.